Routine surprised me. Not because it's the scariest sci-fi horror ever made, it's not, but Routine stands out because it's one of the few games that fully commits to atmosphere and narrative, and actually pulls off both extremely well. If you want Alien Isolation's vibe mixed with a story that digs into your brain and won't leave it for days, this one is probably worth checking out for you. Thank you to developer Lunar Software for the free review copy. So what even is this game? Routine is a first-person sci-fi exploration horror set on an abandoned lunar base built around the 1980s. It's definitely the sci-fi retro mix of analog tech, CRT monitors, clunky robots, yellowed plastic, and hallways that hum like they're alive. Your main goal: unravel a mystery that spans across decades while navigating a base that feels like it's hiding something under the very surface. And here's the biggest twist. Routine isn't Dead Space. It's not a shooter. It's not trying to pump you full of adrenaline every 20 seconds. Routine is slower, more thoughtful, more narrative driven, and the entire game revolves around a certain routine which I won't spoil. So what you do in the actual gameplay is, for about 5 to 8 hours of total playtime, you're mostly walking through the lunar base, solving puzzles and reading text logs, voice logs, uncovering the mystery, using your CAT scanner to reveal hidden objects or threats or figure out how to solve a puzzle, and then trying not to die to robots or other enemy threats. This is not a tutorial heavy game, and what I mean by that is there are no heads up displays, no UI pop-ups, no objectives that blink across your screen every 5 minutes. Routine trusts you to look around, read things, notice details, and figure out how to progress. Some people will love that, and that's the whole appeal of this niche little game. And then of course others will absolutely hate it. And for me, the lack of handholding is what makes the immersion 120% and why this game actually stands out a lot better than other games that tried to do this. Everything you learn is learned in the game through actual interaction and not UI clutter. There is one thing to note though, the CAT scanner is really fantastic in the early part of the game, and it seems like this is like something that you'll use so much, and you do use it often, but by the end of the game, it turns out like you use it a lot less than what I actually expected. I really expected to use it a lot more in a lot more different versatile ways than what the game did. The reason you play this game is for the atmosphere and sort of the fear. Routine doesn't try to scare you right away. Honestly, the first hour feels more like exploration and, dipping your toes in and trying to learn the mechanics. But the lunar base is so dark, quiet, and empty at first that the atmosphere alone starts to kind of get under your skin. Then, when the game does decide to scare you, it's effective because it doesn't overuse jump scares. When something finally happens, you feel it. There are just a few moments where the atmosphere hits Alien Isolation levels of tension, but not as relentlessly. And the atmosphere is carried by the retro future aesthetic. It's gorgeous, it's unsettling, and extremely memorable. Even after several days after finishing the story, I'm still thinking about the narrative and the space of this game. It has its own identity, it's weird, fungal, analog, and just strangely elegant, and I love thinking about the game. So for the experience alone, I'm just so glad I decided to try this out. Now, let's talk about the enemies and, how dangerous everything really is. Enemies in Routine are threatening. They're not the smartest AI that you've seen, but the first time you encounter the security robot, it absolutely sets the tone for the rest of the game. It ends up being terrifying. They do move unpredictably, which is very interesting, and it immediately tells you, yeah, you're not safe here. But, once you play a few hours, you understand their limitations. They become more like obstacles than evolving threats. You can shock robots to shut them down briefly, but they do revive after a minute. You can outrun or evade most things if you're fast and you understand the layout. Then later on, there's an even scarier threat, but I don't want to spoil too much, so I'm gonna limit that. And then there's an invisible version of this thing where you have to, it's like a Fatal Frame moment where you have to, take a picture of it with your scanner for it to dissipate. And these are really cool ideas, But the game isn't totally built around stealth. You're not hiding every 30 seconds. It's more about like evading or just learning when to get around them. But because of the no heads-up display design and no UI design, every encounter feels way more intense than it probably actually is. But that's why the immersion is just so good. And routine story is easily its strongest quality. If you enjoy sci-fi thrillers that get existential, surreal, and metaphorical, you are going to love this. The narrative revolves around a lunar base dealing with infection, manipulation, a birthing process, and an alien entity that I don't want to spoil too much, but just dies in the most unexpected way. It's weird, it's bold, and it is fully committed. And like anything that has a great story, some people won't like the ending and others will love it. And it's the kind of ending you've probably seen in other cerebral sci-fis before, and I just still love it. Yeah, and routine is polished, movement feels good, performance is solid, the sound design is phenomenal, the visual quality is also just... I can't believe some of the real-time scanner effects that they pulled off cleanly while running at 60 FPS or higher. Like, it's honestly insane how they have done this. Between the lighting, the analog tech, and the detailed environments, it's one of the most atmospheric indie sci-fi games that I've played. Yeah, so Routine isn't a traditional horror game. It's not a jump scare machine. It's not a combat-heavy shooter. It's a slow burn sci-fi mystery with some horror elements. A game that trusts you to think, look, observe, and get lost in its world. So if you enjoy exploration, puzzles, and narrative-driven sci-fi, it's absolutely right up your alley. And if you're just checking this out after playing it, did the ending land for you? What scared you more, the robots or the other enemy threat? Just let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please like and subscribe, and click this video to see why Tormented Souls 2 will surprise you. As always, keep gaming and stay awesome.